Hi everyone! Today's review is one of two books from Japanese illustrator Eriy that were released last year. I'll be reviewing this other book very soon, but for now, let's begin with this one. Roughly translated, it's called Fairytales Beyond the Story. Now, the book's only available in Japanese language at this time. I don't know if there are any plans to convert it to English, but I've been using a translation app on my phone just to figure out what everything means. Now, this ribbon here at the bottom is removable and it just explains what the book's about, saying that it's a themed book all about fairy tales from around the world. The fairy tales include Snow White, Cinderella, Puss in Boots, Rapunzel, Little Red Riding Hood and lots more. It's the same size, shape and format as Eriy's romantic country books, and it has a removable dust jacket which protects a thick card cover that can also be coloured if you wish. So we'll just get to the introduction here in the book. So the introduction tells you about Manon and Hersey, a little girl and her pet bird. In the house is a small library with an old stained glass window that lets glittering light shine through when the weather's nice. The bookshelves are lined up with fairy tales from all over the world, ready for you to find your favourite, embark on a journey and get lost in fantasy. Then, just as in the romantic country books, we have a contents page, or rather two, showing thumbnails of each illustration alongside a little caption telling you what it's about. I'm going to translate each illustration as we go through the book. So let's have a look at the illustrations. So here we've got Cinderella, of course. Now on the left hand side she is sweeping up, she's the general dog's body, and you'll notice that each character in this book is actually Manon, and she's got Hersey next to her keeping her company there. So it's like she's reading these books in her home library and embodying and becoming the characters in the fantasy that she's reading. So we've got her on the left hand side here, poor old Cinderella, and then on the right hand side you can see that she's been transformed into a princess, and this is the one you can see that I'm almost finished with. In fact, by the time this review goes out I'll have probably finished it. And I used a little bit of sparkle on the dress, hopefully that's coming through on the camera. I used some Pentel sparkle pop pens. I used a silver, a green and a blue to create that effect, but underneath it is just Prismacolor in a gradient from dark to light. So here we've got the story of Puss in Boots. It says on the translation that the owner of this milling hut has died, leaving only one cat, and this bewildered young man asks the cat to make a pair of boots, as you do. And then it's showing on the right hand side, that the cat has become the president and the boy became a king. And here he is with full confidence wearing a pair of boots. This one, it says, is a Brothers Grimm tale. It's called 12 Dancing Princesses. It says, in this picture, there are 12 beautiful princesses living in the castle, and at night they dance until their shoes are worn out. So I'm not entirely sure which story this is pertaining to, but I'll try and find out, and I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments if you know. Then we have Princess Ibarra. It says, with the curse of the witch on her 15th birthday, in the presence of everyone in the castle, she fell asleep, and someday she'll be awoken. So you can see she has the garden of thorns around her, and she needs her Prince Charming to come and get her out, which is what's happening here on the right hand side. It says, in the beautiful garden we dance alone, the gentle prince and the flowers bloom. So just really quaint, really nice whimsical illustrations, as we've come to know from Eriy. If you've not seen Eriy's work before, it's all along the same style, and Eriy actually draws all of her books and all of her illustrations with a toothpick dipped in ink. So none of this has been done with your regular writing tools, pencil, pen, even digital tools. It's all been done by hand with a toothpick and ink, which is just incredible, really. And it sort of lends itself to the illustrations because it's very hand drawn and it's very lovely, and it's not cold or digital or anything like that. So this is Snow White. It says, the small house to where Snow White escaped has 7 people, so 7 dwarves. And it says in no time she became popular amongst them, and it seems as though this is a welcome party. So there's all of the dwarves welcoming Snow White to their home. So this, of course, is the Queen asking the magic mirror who is the most beautiful woman in the country, or rather who is the fairest of them all as we know it. One day the mirror says that Snow White is the most beautiful. So that doesn't go down very well, does it? We've got lots of potions and sort of skulls and animal carcasses and things hanging around. So we know this is the evil queen's lair. And then of course we have Rapunzel. She has her long and beautiful hair and is imprisoned in a tall tower by a witch. So she's hanging her long hair out the window. We've got Hersey here keeping her company, and in the background you have the fields and things and the forest. And this of course is a beautiful double page spread where you can see Rapunzel has her hair all nicely plaited out from behind her, and all her little friends, the birds, have brought lots of flowers to put in her hair. Just beautiful really. You can see all the flower pattern on the dress, and I'm getting from this book already that it's not one of her more intricate ones. So if you're looking for a book that is less about small spaces and more about these open lines, then you should definitely like this one, especially if you like, of course, the subject matter, which is fairy tales. So here we have Little Red Riding Hood baking some cookies with her mum for her grandmother who lives in the woods. So we're here in Little Red Riding Hood's kitchen, all very nice and domestic. And then of course here she is arriving at Grandma's. So we have the wolf masquerading as the grandmother, and you can see that she's delivering her baked goods here, a bunch of flowers, and we're hoping that she's not going to get eaten by the wolf. So these two figures here are apparently Snow White and Rose. It says that they're very close sisters and they're walking through the woods together. So a really nice image just at the back of these two girls here as they're walking through. And then it says that one snowy day, a bear came to their house to visit. So this is Hansel and Gretel. They were walking in the woods and they found a house made out of sweets. And of course they started eating it and it was delicious, but they didn't know that it was the witch's house. Hansel and Gretel managed to get rid of the witch and found all of her treasure, pearl necklaces, diamond rings, all these beautiful things. So this is the elves and the shoemaker, I think. It says, when the poor shoemaker sleeps, the elves come at night to make the shoes. With delicate embroidery and decoration, it was wonderful work. It says, thanks to the elves, the shoemaker's become very wealthy, and it's happily ever after. Now this story is about 7 baby goats, and it's not a story I'm familiar with, so obviously we're moving into different cultural kind of fairy tales now from across the world. It says we have 7 goats hiding in a hurry so they can't be found by the wolf. It says the youngest goat is hiding behind the big clock, so the grandfather clock here. It's really sweet, this illustration. You can see they've got all their little jumpers hanging up, their little boots as well, all lined up there. We've got a picture of their mum on the wall, or their grandma, and of course a roaring fireplace. And then here is the mum just telling them a bedtime story about defeating the terrifying wolf. Really like this patchwork quilt. So Hans Christian Andersen now, and I believe this is Thumbelina. You can see her here sat on her lily pad. And it says that some birds were injured and couldn't fly to the southern countries during the winter, so Thumbelina took care of them, and these two have become best friends. This is the Snow Queen, so you can see she's wearing a beautiful dress that glitters like a snowflake, and it says that this little girl here is going to help people that are trapped by the Snow Queen in her castle, and she's going to defeat her. So this is called the Mermaid Princess. It says, on the night of turning 15, the Mermaid Princess emerges from the sea for the first time, and she's completely absorbed in all the different scenery that she finds on land. Here we have the Sea Witch's lair, who lives at the bottom of the deep sea. It's a magic drug laboratory to fulfill all kinds of wishes. That's what the translation says. And it says, if you have a wish you want to fulfill, you may want to visit, but then you may not. So I think this is the Matchstick Girl. It says the match selling girl. It says, on the night of New Year's Eve, the girl who sells matches trembles in the cold, and she's selling some mats apparently. She rubs the matches together, and then from the flames a magical, wonderful scene emerges. You can see we've got a Christmas tree and a big turkey. So she goes from being really poor to having everything she needs at Christmas. So I'm not entirely sure what this one is. The translations are always a little bit sketchy, but it's part of the Arabian Nights theme in the book. And you can see we have this moon here, this crescent moon, and it looks as though this lady is praying or doing some sort of chanting or something. The next bit is also part of the Arabian Nights. It's Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, and it talks about all the wonderful treasures that are lined up in a row. It says, to protect Alibaba from thieves, Morgana holds a dagger, dresses up as a dancer and approaches the bandit. So she's protecting Alibaba with her dagger behind her there. And then of course we have Aladdin and the magic lamp, so you can colour a few different patterned lamps here. So then we've moved on to Pinocchio, and it says the carpenter Geppetto had no children, so he made a wooden doll and named it Pinocchio. And you can see all of the different wooden things that he's made and all the tools of his trade. This fairy tale is called Bluebird. Again, it's not one I'm familiar with, but we've got the two here walking through the rather scary forest, looking for a bluebird apparently, and then they find this tree with lots of bird cages. I'm not really sure what the story is about. Be interesting to find out. Moving on to Alice in Wonderland now. We've got the cute dresses with all the hearts on them, all custom made products designed by the Queen. And then it says Alice decides to attend a strange tea party. On the table you have all the teacups lined up in a row. So we've got the White Rabbit, we've got the Mad Hatter here, and of course all of the playing card suits there. This is Secret Garden, so you can see it's a beautiful garden full of flowers, and here we've got a little bird with the key to the secret garden. So this section is British folk tales, and this first one is Jack and the Beanstalk. So it says that Jack secretly steals a golden egg laying hen from a giant castle, and he has to come back down the beanstalk very, very quickly, doesn't he? And it says here are the golden eggs laid by the hen, which have a wonderful pattern. Imagine what kind of chick will emerge from each. You can colour these in really, really bright colours or Easter pastel colours. It will look very nice. Then we've got the three little pigs who, of course, built a house made of straw, made of wood and made of brick. Good job, the wolf is nowhere to be found. So this is a Jonathan Swift tale. It's Gulliver, Gulliver's Travels. And here he is walking through the town, carrying the little girl in his hand. So this is called Nils' Mysterious Journey. Again, not one that I know of. It says that Nils has become smaller due to fairy magic. He's riding on a goose through the village, and it says that the fairy lives quietly in an old house. It says, if you're kind, she'll bring you happiness. So it's almost like a teepee filled with all these little things, acorns and pine cones and all that stuff. Here we have the Wizard of Oz. So we've got Dorothy, we have the Cowardly Lion, the Scarecrow, and of course the Tin Man. And then in the background there is Oz. And here are the four witches, north, south, east and west. So the Wicked Witch of the West, I could colour this in lots of purples and greens and just really differentiate each one. It's a cool one, that one. I might actually do that one next. This one is the tale of the enormous turnip, and I already know this because my youngest actually read this. It's one of the first books that he read by himself. So yeah, I've heard this quite a few times. I've got it on a video of him reading it.
The enormous turnip.
And it's basically about a turnip that this grandfather planted, and it was so big that he couldn't pull it out by himself. So everybody and his dog came to help pull this turnip out of the ground. And then they all sit and have a nice little picnic, of course, with turnip pie. So we've come to Japanese folk tales now. It's talking about a swallow and a Buddha's bowl. Again, I'm not really sure what the translation is, but it's a princess who is waiting for someone to propose to her, and she can't choose, I think. She's here shedding tears sadly whilst looking at the moon. So it seems like she's got a decision to make on who to marry, probably a little bit like Princess Jasmine in Aladdin. This is about Taro Urashima, who helped a turtle and took him to a castle underwater. Again, I'm not really sure what it's about, but you can see here he's riding on the turtle. They've gone to this really beautiful castle, and it said that a beautiful princess lives there. So maybe they've come to rescue the princess from the castle. And here she is, that beautiful princess. As you can see, she's kind of got a porthole behind her. You can see all the fish swimming around and the lovely lanterns and things. Beautiful decoration. So now it's talking about the Zodiac. You can see we've got the rat, the cow, the tiger, all of the different Zodiac animals. Again, this is a really good one to colour because it's a standalone image, and I can imagine using a very limited palette of colours just to keep this really cohesive. And this here is all of the fairy tales from the book. You can see Pinocchio, we've got Little Mermaid, Puss in Boots, and we've got the Bluebird from that birdcage story. And they're all here sort of having a massive party together. and Manon and Hersey have their own little book with them inside as well. So the last little bit is sort of the epilogue of the story. It's saying, explore the dwarf country with Gulliver, look for a bluebird, take a break at Alice's tea party, look at the sea from the window of the castle underwater, imagine the taste of a candy house. Whenever I open a book, a wonderful journey begins. And then it says, when the sun sets, Manon, who is reading a book, falls asleep and explores the world of stories in her dreams. So that's the end of the main part of the book, and as usual, Eriy has left some cute little extras at the back that you can colour and cut out. We've got a little card here and then a few what she calls bookmarks so that you can save your place in whatever fairy tale you're reading. And then on the back you can see there's things to colour as well. And you can either keep them or gift them. So the paper in this book is really, really nice. It's off-white, so I would call it like an ivory colour, but it's definitely not cream. You can see at the back, or hopefully you can see, the difference between this page and this page. We have very kind of ivory off-white colour, but then we have cream. So it's definitely not yellowed, the actual standard paper of the book. It has a really, really nice tooth. It's almost perfect actually for colouring. And as you can see from the one that I did, it's taken wax pencils just fine. So really nice paper, really thick as well. As for wet media, it would really depend on the individual pens that you're using. Maybe water-based pens would be okay, but I would be worried about shadowing on the back with it being double-sided. So I got this book from Chill and Sarah, who is a shop on Etsy. It was a really, really good experience. Both books came together, they came really fast, and the packaging was brilliant. So I would definitely buy from there again in the future if there are any other foreign language books that I'm wanting to get my hands on, because they've got a shop full of them. So do go and check out their shop. I'll leave a link in the description. They're also on Instagram as well, so I'll also leave their Instagram handle. If you've got any queries or want to find out if they stock a certain book or anything like that, you can always ask them on Instagram. They're lovely. So thank you very, very much for watching. Do look out for the next review. It's this one here, which is another book that I believe was released last year, and this goes all around the world at different World Heritage sites, so that'll be a really fun one to look at. I always like to try and colour a page or part of a page before I review it, so you can see what the illustrations look like with a little bit of colour added. So please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon on Colour with Claire.